It is so good to be with you this morning. I want to welcome you to the Unitarian Church of Hinsdale, to this place of peace and justice and hope. In this Unitarian Universalist congregation, we affirm that no matter who you are, who you love, where you are on your journey, you are welcome here. And for those of us joining online, glad you're here. If you're visiting today, we invite you to sign the visitor's book. And if you'd like to join us for coffee hour and other interesting things that are happening, which I will tell you about in a moment, and if you're feeling particularly extroverted, you can take a green mug because people will greet you. Members and friends, to help us stay connected, remember to wear your name tag and use your pronoun stickers. If you need a new name tag, you can request that in the living room. I'm the Reverend Dr. Beth Johnson. My pronouns are she, they, and I'm very pleased to be your worship associate today. I am so thrilled to be doing this service with our LGBTQIA+ welcoming congregation team who have crafted a beautiful service for you today as we celebrate Pride. Now, we just remember that, yes, can I get an amen on that? We just want to remember that it's Pride Month, but every month should be Pride Month. Our music today is provided by the Celebration Singers. Thank you all, directed by Julia Beckman. And Carolyn May is joining us on piano. Thank you so much. Yay. During the summer months, our services will be intergenerational. As there isn't childcare or structured RE, all voices are welcome here. All voices. Little ones, loud ones, quiet ones. We have things to keep children and adult hands busy. There are fidget things, there are things to color. Please, whatever your learning style is, however it is that you move through the world, if you would like to get up and go sit in the living room, move around, get something to color, something to fidget with, please feel free to do that. That's one of the ways we welcome the different types of diversity in our congregation. There's a lot going on at church, and you can read all about it in News and Notes. That comes on Fridays, and you can sign up for it in the back if you'd like to receive that. I do have a couple of announcements. We will be having a genderbread person workshop after the service, led by the new chair of the LGBTQ welcoming congregation team, Carol Peterson. And you can join us, and you will get to decorate genderbread people and also have some conversations. So I hope you will join me and join us. Next Sunday is Flower Communion. It's our annual Flower Communion service. And so you're invited to bring a flower to share. I know that you will be exchanging that flower. And if you don't have access to a flower, don't y'all worry, because we'll have extras. And then it'll be followed by a church picnic where you can bring, a lunch and maybe a dish to share. If it's within your capacity to bring a chair to sit on, then we encourage you to do that. Otherwise, we have extras. And today, the big news is that baby Ravi, who is the new baby of Senvi Dillon, our bookkeeper, and Rajat, her husband, baby Ravi will be here with samosas and cake. But I don't think baby Ravi made the cake. But I'm telling you, their food is good, y'all. All right. We here at Knowledge in the western suburbs, we inhabit areas that are the traditional territories of the indigenous peoples, including Kickapoo, Peoria, Potawatomi, and really more than we can name. As people trying to live into a more just world, we have a responsibility to acknowledge the history and legacy of colonialism, the harm done to Native peoples, and to work to repair that harm. So again, welcome to our annual Pride service. As I said, there's many activities happening throughout our counties, Cook County and DuPage County. And in our congregation, I think this is our second annual, is that right, Pride Service? And so again, I'm indebted to the folks who helped to make that happen. This is from M. Jade Kaiser of Enfleshed. We celebrate all of us who are queer, as in always becoming, as in less this or that, more multi-layered, multi-dimensional, and complex, as in intimately experienced and beyond definition. We celebrate all of us who are here. We've got a couple of opening songs that we're going to share, and the choir is going to help me out with this. Is that right, Julia? And you're going to help me lead it. We've done this song before. And there's two parts. There's a part for lower voices. And you know, Julia, it occurred to me that I probably shouldn't start singing it because I don't know what key. And I can't find a key. So,
we will have our pianist.
All right. For the lower voices, there's movements with this. It's let us love, let us serve, let us honor one another, yes. And then for the melody, love one another, serve one another, honor one another, together hand in hand, love one another, serve one another, honor one another. That's how we understand. And we're going to do that a couple of times, right, Julia? So I'm going to invite you to rise and body your spirit, because you cannot do this song sitting down, y'all. Let's go. No. So we're going to, how about if we do the low voices? Remember, let's try this. The low voices, let's try it, okay? 1, 2, go. For you here, we're going to do another song. We're going to do one verse of When Our Heart is in a Holy Place, because, beloveds, this is what we know. We seek a place where our hearts can be in a holy place, where we enter into the experience of that blessing and that connection with one another and with that which uplifts and holds us. So please sing with me, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. We're only going to do one verse, y'all. You ready?
Every
seated.
Good morning. My name is Tom Brackett. My pronouns are he and him.
Sorry.
Where's the sun? Gather the moon. Their paths divergent, yet they'll meet soon. Bravery whispers, cross the divide, step beyond the comfort where fears reside. For the stranger's eyes hold galaxies unknown, and their heartstrings play a melody of their own. Hands reach out, trembling but true, across chasms of prejudice, misconceptions too. For the stranger's eyes hold galaxies, for the unfamiliar face become a mirror, reflecting both sameness and what's clear. Words weave bridges, fragile threads of trust, as they share stories, raw, unvarnished, just. The immigrant, the artist, the elder, the youth, each a universe waiting for discovery, for truth. Differences bloom like wildflowers in the spring, their colors blending harmonious strings. The quiet courage of meeting the unknown becomes a symphony, a bridge of its own. So let's honor the great arts that dare to seek connection beyond what's familiar and rare. For in those encounters we find our shared grace, and the world transforms a kaleidoscope of embrace.
Hi, my name is Susan Stevens. My pronouns are she and her. Our chalice lighting words are by Reverend Scott Taylor. Mindful of the precious promise of a new day, we gather again to recommit ourselves to the task of mending, of tying together these tender strands that connect us to each other, the world, and those parts of ourselves buried deep. Within this work of renewal, hope lies in wait. So come, friends, let us begin.
Easier said than done.
Always.
There we go.
Thank you so much. Paul Williams, the composer of this song that the choir is going to sing, familiar to, I think, all of you. Who here knows Rainbow Connection? Raise your hand if you know it. Okay. I would say most of us know it. And we tend to think of it as simply a song sung by an adorable frog. But Paul Williams noted that he was given complete artistic freedom to create this song by Jim Henson. And about the song, Paul Williams wrote, "The song compels us to listen to those voices inside, like those that call the sailor to the sea, and to follow them as far as they'll take us, to places where our dreams aren't illusory, but real, tangible possibilities. The thing that is so human about the song and spiritual at the same time is that it honors the questions, not the answers." Thank you, choir, Julia and Carolyn. Each month, we share our second week's collection with a nonprofit. You can also donate throughout the month on our website through the Donate tab that you can find there. This month, we are sharing with the Harold Brown Health, which was founded in 1974 and is now one of the nation's largest lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender organizations. With an annual budget of over $59 million, the agency serves more than 27,000 adults and youth each year. In its diverse health and social service delivery system, we here at UCH have had a relationship with them when they've used our space in the past. And we do have a video with them that will give you an opportunity to hear about them as you prepare your generous offerings. So let's go ahead and hear the video and learn about them.
Organization addressing STIs among gay men. It blossomed into a full-service health delivery organization in the 80s and 90s and was on the front lines of the fight against AIDS.
We built our primary care with a particular focus on those affected with HIV and AIDS, and we've never taken a step back from the forefront of being a leader in the LGBT health community more generally.
And when you look at things like rates of smoking, cancer, bullying, violence, STIs, HIV, depression, LGBT people fare far worse than their non-LGBT counterparts. Our mission at Howard Brown is to ensure that every LGBTQ person in Metro Chicago has access to a healthcare provider that is accepting and knowledgeable about the healthcare needs that our patients face.
Howard Brown Health provides services to everyone. There's always someone here that can attend to you and really cater to your needs.
We serve people with affirming care. Whether a person is living with HIV, diabetes, you name it, Howard Brown is here to provide whatever is needed.
From the moment that someone becomes a patient to every stage of the medical services that they provide, we wrap a continuity of care around that experience so that they always feel supported.
When I got diagnosed with Kaposi sarcoma, which is usually pretty lethal, the first thing that popped in my mind was, if I'm going to go anywhere, I'm going to go to Howard Brown. You know, you're checking in and everyone's being friendly and nice, and the nurses come to get you, and it's, okay, here's what we're going to do. She's like, I want you to see a podiatrist. I want to have your eyes checked. We're going to do an EKG, you know, and an MRI. This place saved my life.
I somewhat jokingly, but actually seriously say that Howard Brown saved my life because I got ridiculously sick. I was a college student up here by myself, and I really couldn't afford a lot of health care.
We pride ourselves on being able to serve people regardless of ability to pay. We have people that can link you to insurance services and walk you through that process.
That's the second thing that saved my life. I had no insurance at the time when I was admitted into the hospital. I worked with a coordinator and she walked me through everything, and so they got me onto Medicaid. It's been a godsend for me. It covers my medication.
I'm very excited that Howard Brown can boast that we're a citywide organization.
It's really important to be all over the city for various reasons, but most importantly, I think it's the access to healthcare. We are in locations now that are close to where people live and also where people work. So people really have flexibility in terms of where they can get their services from Howard Brown.
With Howard Brown now on the south side and saying, hey, we are here in the community and we like to enmesh and become part of the community.
The Broadway Youth Center is a way that we provide services to our youth.
It's a full-service health center, but it's also providing a bank of social services for LGBT and homeless youth.
We really prioritize young people setting goals for themselves. We have resources and things that can make that journey for that young person easier.
The reason why I kept going back to the Broadway Youth Center, I think, was mainly because of the fact that they work with you a lot, making sure that I was in the right path, going to the doctors to make sure that I was getting my hormones. And right after I started seeing that there was many out and about people who were proud of being who they were, just gave me more confidence to kind of be well, if they can do it, then I could actually get a GED and put my mind to it and then go ahead and move forward. So just recently I got a job at the Puerto Rican Cultural Center working as an intervention as counselor, which is basically kind of working with other trans women. I felt like it was my way of giving back.
coming to a place like Howard Brown, it gives you a sense of hope. You know, you're not going to be alone.
We see, the quest for equality intertwined with good health. It's our mission to promote LGBT liberation and equality through health, through the attainment of the best health possible for individuals so that they can live their full lives and support their families and pursue their dreams.
An inspiring organization. I hadn't heard of them until they were our play chair. Didn't know we had a previous relationship with them. So I hope that you are inspired by the work that they do, and I invite you to affirm the work that this congregation does in our offertory words. This church is made up of all of us. It is what we learn together, the work we do together, the fun we have together. It is what we share with one another, with the people around us, and with all the world. And so I hope you are inspired to give generously as this morning's offering is received. That was remarkable. Take a breath with me. What a gorgeous piece and beautifully done and so touching. Thank you. Puts my heart in a holy place, y'all. So we're going to sing again, and I think we can remain seated for this verse of the song, when our heart is in a holy place. It's a kind of a redundancy because I think Carolyn just put her heart in a holy place. But let's sing, shall we? I just want to say, if y'all ever want to get up and dance, y'all should just do that. Now we're going to be hearing from folks in our LGBTQA+ welcoming congregation team. Come on up, y'all.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Pride Month. My name is Shar Cepek. My pronouns are she and her. And about 2 years ago, Reverend Pam Romancic, who was our former minister, asked me if I would head up a renewal of our welcoming congregation status with the Unitarian Universalist National Office. So we got a committee together and we got started on the process. There are multiple elements that the National Office wants a congregation to participate in. One of them is having several welcoming worship services. So Pride Month last year, June 2023, we had our first Pride Month service. And then in September of 2023, we had our Trans Day of Remembrance service. We also needed to do some education for welcoming. So in the summer of last year, we read our Authentic Selves, Celebrating Trans and Non-Binary People and Their Families, and that was a book discussion over the summer. I think many of you participated in that. And then another element was to support welcoming projects. So we supported the night ministry and PFLAG, Parents, Families, and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, in 2023. And then today we're supporting the Howard Brown Social Services. We also did co-host a Trans Inclusion in Congregations online seminar this past, a few weeks ago, actually a couple months ago maybe, and that was offered by the Transforming Hearts Collective. Really an excellent online seminar and in person, and there was discussion afterward. That's going to be offered again this fall, so any of you that are interested, I would highly recommend you think about participating in that. And with me is Marion Honnell-Wilson. Come on up, Marion. So I just went over what we have done recently. Marion's going to take us back to the late 90s, early 2000s, to let us know what this congregation was doing on LGBTQ issues then.
So my name is Marion Hannah-Wilson. I've been a member of the congregation since 1988, and my pronouns, I forgot to mention, she, her. So I was the chair of the welcoming congregation effort from 1999 to 2002. Doesn't seem like that long ago, but it was. I'm old. So we had, again, there was a welcoming congregation process that was set out by the Unitarian Universalist Association, and we did all the things. We had workshops, we had children's services, we had services for the adults, we had fundraisers for a group called the Welcoming Youth Center, and that was very successful. We raised over $4,000. It was a lesbian comedian. It was so much fun. And we had video presentation for children. So we did a lot of the things, and it was a long process. We even had a survey for the congregation, and maybe surprisingly to us now in this day and age, we had 60% support for the welcoming congregation effort. But I would say only 7% were strongly against. But times have changed, and that was, that was how it was then. But we persisted, and we kept going, and we had a congregational vote in October of 2002, and the effort passed, and the congregation voted, with the majority voting to become a welcoming congregation at that time. We continued the work a little bit. We had another workshop the following year in 2013 and 2014 when Reverend Pam Romancic became the minister. We resurrected the effort. We had a short-term committee called Living the Welcoming Congregation, and we did some additional programming at that point in time. That was when we changed out the bathroom signs, and I personally changed them out to have gender-friendly, signs on our single-stall bathrooms to be friendly to all genders. So we've been working on this for a while. My motivation was that I was raising 2 boys, and they're wonderful people. I only have one grandchild, but that's okay. Anyway, they were both here for my birthday party yesterday, and it was awesome. Okay, but yeah, I was concerned in the 90s and 2000s about the high suicide rate that I had heard about for children of, who did not feel welcome coming out. So I think that was my main motivation for participating in the effort. But I'm very proud.
So that was a little overview of the present and the past, and soon you're going to hear about the future. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
As the team considered what songs to sing, what hymns to bring in, this song was particularly chosen because of the depth of its message. It's We Would Be One. It's number 318 in your hymnal. We're only singing one verse, and I'm going to invite you to rise as we sing these words together. As an affirmation, if you will.
Morning, everyone. Hi, I'm Charlie, and my pronouns are he and him.
Hi, I'm Tim, and my pronouns are he and him. We've been attending here since last fall, and we just recently signed the book. Charlie, do you remember what led us to seeking out a church and to this congregation in particular?
Yeah, for me, it felt like the social climate in the U.S. was backsliding a bit. I mean, when we met 20 years ago, I didn't think we'd live to see marriage equality. Illinois didn't even recognize same-sex civil unions at the time, and here we are today married.
So things have come a long way in those 20 years, but what we've seen in the last few years, there's been a growing opposition to LGBTQ plus community. We may not feel it in our daily lives per se.
But when you see the news about assaults, anti-LGBTQIA plus laws, book bans that primarily target LGBTQIA storylines and people of color, we do feel it. So in part because of this changing social climate, we felt like we wanted to be part of a larger, enlightened, loving community.
Charlie found in the UCH website and saw it as a welcoming congregation. Now, we knew the Unitarian churches were liberal. We met in a Unitarian church in Naperville many years ago. They had an LGBTQ support group on Tuesday nights. We went to a few services as well, but it wasn't something that clicked with us at that time.
And what we didn't know was that this church, now our church, had to make quite a bit of effort to get the official welcoming congregation renewal. We are thankful for all the work that's been done and all the ongoing work we are doing. Thank you, Shar, Marion, and everybody who participated in that.
This is from the UCH website. Working hard to make sure lesbian, gay, transgender, and queer people are full members of our faith communities. Being welcoming means striving for a radical inclusion and creating spaces that honor every part of our identities, backgrounds, and experiences.
That message meant a lot to us. And as we join more circles, we are getting to know what a supportive and caring group you are, not just for this community, but for the larger world around us. And I'm starting to feel hopeful again.
We really feel welcomed here by you. You are making a space for us to show up as our authentic selves, and that matters. It makes us feel like we matter.
I'd like to share my favorite line from a book. It is from O Pioneers by Willa Cather, which was on a challenged list of books a few decades back, possibly because the authors theorized to have been lesbian, or possibly because a couple of commandments were broken by characters in the book. No spoilers, I won't tell you which commandments.
A side note, the title O Pioneers was inspired by Walt Whitman's poem Pioneers, O Pioneers, and Whitman's works had a number of gay themes and overtones.
So here's the quote. Isn't it queer? There are only 2 or 3 human stories, and they go on repeating themselves as fiercely as if they had never happened. Like the larks in this country that have been singing the same 5 notes over for thousands of years. I love this line for so many reasons. It contains multitudes. The larger meaning for me is that we all have more in common than not. Those 2 or 3 human stories are universal. They are the same regardless of your identity. Yes, we have our differences and are unique, which should not be diminished, but largely, we want to live our lives as authentically as we can, to be self-actualized without barrier, and to create and seek out the community that embraces us.
Let us here at UCH continue to be a community that embraces all, regardless of identity, embracing all stories, so we may indeed build a world for now and tomorrow. When communities seek to be inclusive, it is not regardless of, but because of the multiplicity of identities. Identity then becomes integral to the community.
All right, so let us rise in body and spirit.
You okay? You'll make it? Okay. Hi, my name is Carol Peterson, and my pronouns are they, them, and she, her. Mike. Okay.
And I'm Zia. My pronouns are he and his.
As many of you may know, I'm agender, female presenting, and an asexual person, but I also enjoy crafting, cooking, and wearing hats.
I'm a trans ally, a biological and adoptive father, an electrical engineer, a gardener, and a sports fanatic.
So,
I've been even known to watch the White Sox.
So you're not just one thing?
No. No one is just one identity.
So then why talk about queer issues if it's just part of who you are?
Because your gender identity or sexuality is only part of who you are. It shouldn't make a difference in where you live, where you work, the health care you receive, or any other fun fact, or anything other than a fun fact about you.
You're right. It shouldn't make a difference, but it does. In many states, you can be fired for being trans. You may not be afforded housing non-discrimination status because of your gender.
Illinois is pretty progressive, though.
Oh yeah, I know we're blessed to live here, at least in this one area.
So what can we do about it?
Well, the way I see it, there are two aspects to queer and trans acceptance, social and governmental.
So governmental activism would be getting laws passed that reduce or eliminate discrimination?
Yeah, there's nearly 1/3 of states that have a shield law that protect people's rights, including Illinois.
Unfortunately, that's 2/3 that don't. Most states in our country, including the federal government, have bills that have been introduced that discriminate against trans population.
There are nearly 600 laws or bills that have been introduced so far in 2024, and while 219 have failed, 42 have passed, and 332 are still on the table.
The bills are not simply overt anti-trans legislation either. They are aimed at preventing taxpayer dollars from funding gender-affirming care for minors, making sure that educators can't explain to their students why they may feel different from their peers, and removing books with LGBTQ references from classrooms and libraries.
There are a lot of ways where we can vote to make our state and country safer for our trans and queer siblings, but there are also social changes we can do, like making everyone comfortable with using non-binary pronouns or using gender-neutral language when possible.
So how can our church help make this happen?
I'm glad you asked. There are a lot of ways. I like to encourage education. This makes people more familiar with queer concepts, and being familiar with something makes it much easier to accept it. PFLAG, which Shar talked about, is a great organization with resources that you can look up. There's also the Genderbread workshop, which everyone should attend after the service, where we're going to talk about more of those queer and trans issues.
There's also the Transforming Heart seminars that we attended recently at the DuPage UU Church, and which they will hold again this fall.
Or you can do UU the vote, and vote to help make sure that those with values we agree on are elected.
Or by having a pride service.
Great job, everyone. You are already making the future a better place.
So recently I asked a beloved trans woman about the challenges facing their community. After they're expressing their annoyance with me, they provided a fairly nice, thoughtful response when given a list of the issues facing them. So from a legal and social progress perspective, for us not to be hurting enough to be allowed to pursue our truest selves, to not have to ask and beg people who barely know us to decide our future, for people to stop listening to anyone but us when we try to assert who we are and who we need, or what we need. Breath.
Fine.
Okay, for so much of our world to stop trying to stamp us out. They never can and never will.
For culture and social acceptance, for our family not to remember us as past or lost children, but to call us by our names, to be able to love all of who we are, to not become aching voids or active pains in our lives because of who we are.
For health and well-being, our trans siblings to never again be without a home, alone, and struggling to support themselves before they're old enough to drive.
In technology and social media, for us to not have our visions swallowed by people raging against those they have never known, and to see and know joy and light in trans expression and art.
And challenges and resistance, for us never to give in. Trans people have existed for thousands of years. We will continue to as long as humankind does. We cannot be extinguished, and every step we struggle through is one bit lighter for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Deep bows to the team who came together to share their experiences, your stories, your vision for this congregation in the past, and the vision for our congregation going forward. Because we know the road can be hard. The road can be challenging. The stories that we've lifted up about our congregation know that we've been on a journey, and y'all were still on a journey, and we would be one in affirming our commitment to that journey. We would be one in affirming that we seek justice and love and acceptance. And this is what we know. And I know this is going to be the third time that we mentioned the transgender inclusion course that members of our congregation participated in with the DuPage UU Church, and other members not of the LGBTQ welcoming team attended. If you attended and would like to raise your hand, you can go ahead and do that, but no pressure. That will be happening. Thank you, Jane. I didn't want to single Jane up, but I just did. Jane and Dave attended. It points us to who we can become and what it means to truly welcome and belong. Paula gave a sermon that I keep thinking about. Paula Dvorak-Sejic gave a sermon last summer on the difference between fitting in and belonging, and I keep coming back to that because this is what we know. When we make space for the people that we say we're going to welcome, we will be changed. We will be different. We hear different voices. We see different experiences. We encourage participation and leadership. And that is the move that we are making as a welcoming congregation and as a denomination. And that is the call of this time, that we can partner with DuPage and others who are making it safe for our trans siblings, and that we will not only open our hearts, but open our committees and our groups and allow ourselves to embody the multitudes that we are and can be. I'm going to close with words by a colleague, the Reverend Dr. Laura Solomon. She posted this. And for those of you who are not queer, and those of you who want to listen in, Dr. Solomon wrote, "Hey, non-queer people, this Pride Month, can we focus on queer joy? I'm seeing so many messages and memes about things that say how we need Pride Month because somewhere a kid believes they would be better off dead. And that's what we hear and we know and we name." She goes on, "So much about what is shared about queerness this month involves those statistics. We actually need Pride Month so that we can see queer futures and queer joy and embrace queer imagination and life and love. We need Pride Month to expand the narrative about queerness. Queerness is not just about coming out. It's not about whether the rest of the world accepts us or not. And Dr. Laura is, by the way, queer. Queerness is about living lives of authenticity and love. So Pride is about seeing queer elders, queer adults, queer kids living their lives, which means loving and living and going on vacation and cooking dinner and going to the grocery store. It's stories about queer people in love and queer people losing love and having babies and single queer elders living their best lives. It's about wearing whatever we want and feeling, yes, absolutely, and saying yes. No, all voices are welcome. I want to hear all the voices. In fact, can someone hear that yes? Can someone here say yeah? Say yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. No hushing of any voices. It's about wearing whatever we want and feeling embodied and whole. It's about seeing a future where we exist. Pride Month is a celebration of the fact that we are able to live in and love a world that does not love us back. We know the world is dangerous. We know there is pain and suffering and hatred and fear. We know, believe me. We know. What we don't always know is what queer joy looks like. What you don't always know is what queer joy looks like. And you know what? Not one of us is ever going to see it if we just keep talking about violence and fear and death. How do we change the future if we don't change the story? Our ancestors fought for us to be able to live lives of authenticity and love. This month, we honor them, and let us continue to honor them by telling those stories. Thank you for the stories that have been shared today. Some of you have stories, I bet, that you haven't shared, not that you need to. But if you have a story to tell, we want to hear those stories, and we want to celebrate that joy. And we want to bring that joy not only into our congregation, but out into the world. Because, beloveds, the world needs our joy. As incongruent as that sometimes feels, at least to me, the world needs our joy. Our queer folks need our joy. Everyone needs joy. I received this joy today because Charlie made these beautiful boutonnieres. Made them. And you know what? They have little jewels on them. Because this is a month where you should be all jeweled out. You know what? You should be jeweled out any time you want, any month of the year. May it be so. And I love you. Please join me in our chalice extinguishing words. Well, I wonder if I put them in. Yeah. We extinguish this flame. Oh. So our closing song is one that we've done before, and I've given a bit of the history of the song before, and I like to do it for folks who might not know or might not remember. The song was originally known as "Standing on the Side of Love," written by by Jason Shelton, yes, the word yes, all the way, all the way, all the way. Give me a mic, give me a mic, give me a mic. Come on up, sis. Come on, sweetheart. Uh-oh. You want to come up? Maybe after we sing. Maybe after we sing. And so the song that we're about to sing, Answering the Call of Love, as I said, was written by Jason Shelton, and it was after he had a meeting with the then president of the Unitarian Universalist Association, the Reverend Bill Sinkford. And Reverend Sinkford was in his office, and he was speaking to a reporter who was talking about marriage equality. And he said, well, where do you stand? And Reverend Sinkford said, we stand on the side of love. That's the origin of the Side of Love initiative program of the UUA. We are answering the call of love in response to our disabled siblings who said, you know, some of us can't stand. And Jason Shelton changed the words and felt really good about it because there's something about answering the call of love. So y'all, I invite you to rise in body or spirit and let us sing. getting that, but I couldn't. So, beloveds, as we leave this place, invite us to leave with a message of hope, message of opportunity, the message of joy, message of change. Be who you are, love who you are, go in peace, be makers of peace. Amen. Shanti, shanti, shanti.